And it's Wes Lambert who's on deck, and he's going to be talking about Velocistack, swiftly configuring streamlined investigation environments. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with Wes, he's the principal engineer at Security Onion Solutions, where he helps companies to implement enterprise security monitoring solutions and better understand their computer networks. Excuse me. He is a huge fan of open source software projects and loves to solve problems and enhance organizational security using free and easily deployable tools, aka Velociraptor. So without any further ado, Wes, take it away.
Thank you, Carlos. Give me just a second here to share my screen. Can you hear me okay?
You're just fine, thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. Okay. See if you can see this right here. All right, can you see everything okay so far? See if I can move this. Good. All right, we good?
Looking good, yep.
All right, thank you guys. Again, my name is Wes Lambert, and I am a principal engineer at Security Onion Solutions. I appreciate you listening to me today.
One thing, Wes, it looks like you have your notes visible on the screen. I don't know if you wanted to do that or not.
Okay, let me see if I can do it. Change the new share. Stop share. Yeah, I think I didn't flip to the right screen here. Let's try it one more time, and then I'll try one other way if that doesn't work. Can you see the notes or the full screen?
Still see the notes.
Okay, let me switch back. Stop share. Okay. Share. Screen. Screen two. Share. How about now?
There you go.
All right, cool. Now I will restart. Okay, so I am Wes Lambert. I'm a principal engineer at Security Onion Solutions. I just wanted to talk to you today about some ways in which we can leverage Velociraptor, an already awesome forensics and monitoring and response tool, and really, create kind of a quick, streamlined environment for investigation, whether it be for educational purpose or for professional purposes. So that's really what I want to get through today. Let me click here. All right, there we go. All right, so what is Velocistack? Velocistack it's a free and open platform for streamlined host-based forensics and investigation. It really just leverages heavily Velociraptor and tying together some other components to allow you to take that data from Velociraptor and act on it a little bit more easily, or maybe take it, a different direction. And then also for people who want to use it as a case management platform or have something to track investigations, to be able to do that kind of stuff, and then to be able to enrich that data as well. So that's what we're gonna go through here as I go through the presentation. So why was it created? You might be familiar with a lot of online repos or platforms like Blue Cloud or Purple Cloud or some other projects that allow you to spin up Velociraptor in the cloud environment using something like Terraform, or something like Ansible. This I wanted to take and make a little bit simpler and just make something that I could just set up locally. I know Velociraptor is already extremely simple to set up on its own, but just take it, and tie it with a few other components and make it really simple to install locally, not have to worry about the cloud and have things more so in an integrated fashion. So it's really the purpose of why I kind of went into this project. Now, who should use Velocistack? Really anybody can use it, but the target is really for those people that want to learn, people like students, people like analysts in their everyday day job that just want to learn about Velociraptor or learn about some of these other components, or maybe just have it be used in actual IR or during actual daily investigations. So really, the target for this project really is anybody that has a desire to learn, I think, and that's really what it's about. So let's talk about a couple of those components of Velocistack. The first component, this might be a surprise to everybody, is Velociraptor. Okay, so obviously with Velociraptor, we have the host space forensics monitoring response, all of the detection capability, all of the cross-platform goodness, the super flexibility because of vQual. We can pretty much do anything we want with Velociraptor. So it's a really unique and really heavily relied on piece of software in this particular stack. So it is going to be at really the centerpiece of this. So obviously Velociraptor. But what else? How about Prometheus and Grafana? This would be a way to perform host and performance monitoring of the stack itself. We could visualize those metrics about the stack performance. We could alert on any kind of metric data for using this in our daily environment. As an analyst or as an incident responder, we can get a little bit more information on any issues with the host or things like that. So Prometheus and Grafana allow us to do that by collecting those metrics and then presenting them in a way that it's a little bit easier to digest, right, than maybe a simple CLI output. So we can navigate over there to Prometheus or Grafana. We can go to Prometheus directly if we want to. But this is a great way to, at a high level, visualize what's going on with the host itself. Now, the stack itself is not super reliant on any particular amount of CPU or memory. Probably 4 to 6 gigs in most cases is usually enough. So not a super heavy there, but I would probably recommend a dedicated host. The Elasticsearch. So the Elasticsearch is another component of Velocistack. We use the Elasticsearch for visualizing post-processing data. We can create visualizations in Grafana if we wish. And we can post-process that data with things like ingest node pipelines and then go off and tie in with other platforms and perform additional enrichment. And here's a quick example there of just some Velociraptor data. Velociraptor already has some artifacts, right, to tie into the Elasticsearch, the Elastic Upload. So we're just leveraging that there, and you can see that data inside of the Elasticsearch instead of Grafana right there. Now, another one, we talked about CyberChef a couple times. CyberChef is another component of Velocistack. It's very, very good to be able to have something like CyberChef alongside your investigations, or when you're doing investigations with Velociraptor. I imagine a bunch of you, like myself, might leverage CyberChef. It's a really great way to understand data, to transform and decode that data. Obviously, you can create and share recipes. If you're not that familiar, you can share off the different recipes that you have, the different combinations of operations that you have, and then you can bake that data to perfection, right? So CyberChef, here's just a little screenshot there of what's included there with CyberChef, just an overview if you're not familiar. CyberChef is awesome, of course. We can just see a from base 64 recipe here, super simple, just being applied to that initial input. So that's another component. Now, the next is going to be a really cool component that I started working with recently as I've had time, and that's Iris. So this is a very cool kind of case management platform, incident response platform. It's really geared towards acting on incidents as incident responders would. It's been built by incident responders. We can create and track cases, assets, and IOCs in there. We can also integrate with other external systems, things like VirusTotal or MISP natively from there. So we have a lot of different hooks at various levels of the data that we're getting, either from Velociraptor or moving up into cases and that sort of thing, right? So it's a really cool platform. We've got a screenshot here of it, just a nice case of something bad, right? Something bad is happening. This is just a brief kind of overview of the interface here, where you'll see that we have a dashboard at the front, and then we can get at our individual cases, then assign any notes or any assets. That's another cool thing, is that Iris has the concept of tracking assets. So if you've got an environment that you're monitoring that's you want to associate with particular hosts, or even maybe during an IR, you can do that, and there's that kind of hard linkage and something to refer back to and tie things back to a little bit more easily when you're investigating those cases. Same thing with IOCs and some other things there. Just a really great way to tie in the stuff from Velociraptor and bring that into a case management platform. Another thing, Intel Owl, it's another component. Intel Owl is a great open source platform for aggregating threat intel sources. It really reduces that complexity, right? Getting started or trying to query external services. As Matt mentioned before, there may be rate limits on particular services, online services, even still when accessed through Intel Owl, but there's a plethora, a huge amount of different ways that you can get at certain data with this and ways to tie in with stuff. So it's really flexible and really convenient to be able to have that threat intel capability or that enrichment capability built into the stack. Here's just a brief screenshot. It's kind of hard to show all of the plugins just because it took up a little bit of screen real estate here, but you'll see the abuse IPDB. Some of you might be familiar with, where you can check if an IP was reported to be abusive, right? So that is another component of Velocistack. So we've got the data coming in, right? The threat intel and the enrichment. We've got the case management. We've got alerting and performance monitoring, and then we've got the data manipulation with CyberChef. And that's really what this summary right here kind of encapsulates. You see, we've got Velociraptor kind of at the helm here, and we've got all these things around it. We've got all of these great applications working together to make things a lot easier for analysts and for incident responders, and really for anyone. So that's really what the case, this project was about. So this is what it looks like when you go in. Not super talented with the graphic design. What I've leveraged here is just a custom artifact, the welcome YAML artifact. So Velociraptor has a default welcome artifact that you can customize, and that's what we've done here. We've actually customized it with links to each of these particular applications, right, which you'll see here, and then also some client binary downloads. As we know, it might be easier if we're signed in via the web interface already to go and download maybe a repacked client or something else to go off and pair that to the server, as opposed to having to SSH into a box or get the binary from somewhere else. So this is a great way to serve it from your authenticated Velociraptor session. Now, let me get some coffee real quick. All right, so getting started. How do we get started with Velocistack? Well, I mentioned before, I wanted it to be really simple. Now, granted, there may still be bugs, however, but I wanted it to be very simple to just clone the repo and run an installer script. So that's really all you have to do now. And after this presentation, I will set this repo to public. Right now it's still private, but you will just clone the repo right there, and you'll just run the installer script. And then basically what will happen is it's Docker Compose. As you can see, it's one of the requirements. Docker Compose running in the background. It will handle all of that, plus a couple other commands there. It'll handle setting all of that up. And then you should be able to access that through the web interface after a few minutes. But I want to talk about, before we go take a look at it, some integrations and some workflows, keeping in mind of those analysts and those responders that we might leverage from this platform. Now, before we get into those workflows, I want to talk a little bit about how a lot of this is constructed. So this is a really cool feature that allows you to really customize Velociraptor for your environment and to really be able to bootstrap a deployment however you wish. The transparent proxy is built into Velociraptor. It's basically, there are some settings in the server config YAML, and it allows Velociraptor to act as a proxy for any of the authentication or the routing or TLS. And in this instance, in Velocistack, it proxies almost all the applications, with the exception of a couple. There are some that aren't capable of being proxied under a subpath right now. But for the most part, we have leveraged that transparent proxy capability, which is awesome, to be able to use just Velociraptor to front those services. And what it looks like right here is this, right? We have a reverse proxy declaration here in the server config. And then we have a bunch of different routes here. So we'll see one for CyberChef, one for Grafana, Prometheus, and so on. And what that allows us to do, we can require auth right here if we want it to be authenticated or unauthenticated, is wrap Velociraptor around those services, right? Be able to leverage Velociraptor in its primary capacity, and then still have all these other things bundled with it or customized alongside of it, and have to reduce our our complexity and our overhead for reverse proxy or whatnot. So it's a really cool way to be able to tie all this stuff together, and it's really how most of these applications are handled on the back end. Now, I mentioned Elasticsearch. So Elastic Upload is already pre-configured. So whenever you spin up the stack, you don't necessarily have to go set up the Elastic Upload artifact. And we'll also start parsing artifacts towards ECS very soon. I've got some stuff I need to put in there, but we can also query Elasticsearch directly, right? So, if we're throwing other data in there for some reason, or for some reason or another, we want to do some post-processing and then go retrieve the data back out of Elasticsearch, we have the capability to do that as well natively, and it's already tied in. It's already connected, right? So it makes it that much easier. We mentioned CyberChef before, right? And we mentioned the context menus. So another thing that will be pre-configured in here is the pivot from Velociraptor to a local CyberChef instance. A lot of folks might not want to leverage the external instance. However, it is better than nothing in many cases. It's probably preferred to use your own local instance, and we can do that, right? We can pull that data from Velociraptor into CyberChef, and we can start baking our data, right? And then we can start pivoting, just like Ross over here from Friends, right? So this is what that looks like. You've seen it a couple times now, but to show you again, we've got this context menu here, and we've got some base64 encoded data over here. We can just simply click the CyberChef right here, and then we can pop that over there and start working on it as we wish. It's super clean, super fast, but you do have to be aware of some constraints, like Matt mentioned before. And this is what that looks like in the back end, just an example. We've got this GUI links configuration here. We're just overriding the default value right here for the URL, but also, we need to paste in the other stuff so that it effectively takes over that default configuration. Now we can add other stuff in here too for the links if we wanted to, but as far as this example, we just have CyberChef here. Now, what are some other things? Okay, so some other things we can do with this out of the box are going to be able to utilize hooks to automatically run modules in Iris. For example, if we add an IOC to a case, we want to see if any other box in our deployment, or which boxes might have this file on there. We can add an MD5 on there. We could submit analysis to Intel Owl if we wanted to, and we could also run a default set of artifacts, right? Like if we added a new asset, we wanted to go off and run certain queries on the new asset, we could certainly do that all through those modules. But I did want to share one example of how I can do this. Stephen Mikas, Bad Bloops, I think is his GitHub handle, put together this initial module that I've been testing and have been working, integrating into this environment. So thank you, Stephen, or Stefan. Apologize if I incorrectly pronounce your name. But this is a way to essentially have Iris reach out to Velociraptor whenever essentially an IOC is added or is updated, things like that. And then it will go out and it will actually perform a hunt for that. So if we added an MD5, we can go out and run a hunt. Right. And now there's more stuff we could do with the module and the artifact. However, this at least gets the ball rolling, right? From a very quick perspective, we're already starting to triage. We're already starting to look for this whenever we're entering that case into the system, right? So we can see that this module started to go out and initiate that hunt there. And then we can also see from the Velociraptor side that the hunt was created by this DFIR Iris modules user, right? So we can already start having, pulling back that data once we started creating our case and, get the ball rolling from there. So it's a really, really great way to start getting more context around things that are happening and respond, a little bit more quickly, right? Now, there are also some other Iris artifacts that we can leverage if we want to create a case in Iris from Velociraptor. These are both on the exchange. We can also look up an IOC that's been posted in Iris. So if we want to look that up and see if something that we have on disk actually matches something that we have in a case, we can do that as well. So it's another way of, going back up the other way and, trying to get some context or looking, seeing if we can get that answer, right? Another one, the artifact that actually creates this module or inserts it into Iris. This is the example here. And that's actually included in Velocistack. So Velociraptor actually configures Iris through this artifact. So it's not only just looking for data, it's actually performing management tasks, right? Much like the server configuration, right? Or data is handled or clients are handled through artifacts. So it's another way of just managing things, right? Just using pure VQL. Now, as far as Intel Owl is concerned, we can query Intel Owl for IOCs as well natively, right? Since it's built in, we can do that. Just a local instance. We already have a way to hook into that and test things or look at things. You can, do the observable lookup, then, do the job lookup. I don't have an artifact produced for these just yet, but it is in progress. But again, it's already right there. You don't have to sign up for an account. All of it's right there for you to experiment and play with. Now, as far as the roadmap, there's some code cleanup for this. Because I did rush some of this just to try to get it ready. And the Intel artifact is on the roadmap. There's some other stuff around. I've experimented with Zinc a little bit for a little bit more lightweight data store, right, for the Elastic data. And then, also considering OpenSearch. But I'd be really interested if folks are interested in this at all, or think it's stupid, or if you have any other ideas that might make this more amenable or easier to leverage, or whatever. Really, I'm just hoping to get some feedback and let me know what you all think. So before I stop there, let's see if I can. Nope. So yeah, I'm gonna pivot through just a quick walkthrough. So again, this is the Velocistack interface, just the regular kind of Velociraptor skinned interface. And so from here, as I mentioned, we can pivot over here to CyberChef. We can go do all our chefy things over here, right? We can go into Grafana here. If you want to take a look at those, the system metrics or performance of the host right here. Let me see. Okay, just making sure I can see here. All right, and then if I go back, we can go over to Intel Owl, right? And go through all the jobs and plugins and everything that's available for Intel Owl, right? So I had to go through and show you this while I don't have a ton of time to the web interface, or else maybe you wouldn't believe me. So, all right, but to get back to Velocistack, again, if we want to go to Kibana or Iris, we can pop over there. Right, review all our cases, and we can go in here. Let me go into advanced here, and there's that module I was talking about, right? That Iris Velo module. And then if we wanted to look in Kibana, we could do that. Right, let's do, no, last 15 minutes, let's do 60. Right, and then this is just a simple Linux sysusers artifact, but yeah, I mean, you can post process this however you wish with Elastic, right? The ingest node pipelines to transform that data, and lots of other different ways to get at that, right? So it's not it. This is it. All right, and then finally the client downloads. If you wanted to download the client, you just click on those, the binary downloads right there. Then you could go off and run those, and assuming that you have DNS resolution of that Velociraptor host, you should be good to go, and it should connect right up. But otherwise, that is all I have. And let me just switch to this real quick. All right, so yeah, just open for, if there are any other questions or feedback, obviously we can answer those in the Discord channel. But if you do have the chance, make sure to check out Velocistack and let me know what you think about it. Thank you.